ER. Doctors of Reddit, which of your patients came the closest to winning a Darwin award? Don't forget to like, comment, hit the subscribe button below, and hit the bell to never miss a video. Nurse, I had a meth addict come in after he and his buddy tried to make homemade landmines with pipes and gunpowder to protect his weed grow. The landmine blew up in his hand. Closest, I had a patient who needed me to complete his home circumcision. Home circumcision. But why? One of my patients, male, in his 30s, tried to follow a healthy trend and made a medium rare chicken recipe. Results: severe amoebic dysentery and colitis, almost resulting in bowel perforation. Everybody always makes fun of Gordon Ramsay bellowing it's fucking raw, but things like this is exactly why he flips his shit every time he sees an undercooked dish. Poorly prepared food can kill people. It's burns are fun. Decided the gas in the car was dead and threw a few gallons on a bonfire to get rid of it. Spent a month in the burn unit. When he woke up, he told his elderly dad to go ahead and burn the rest of that old gas out back so we can get the car started. Just do it! I had a long conversation with him. High on shrooms, a man jumped chest first into a fire pit. Miraculously he was saved by his friends with seemingly minor injuries, and then immediately turned around and jumped back into the pit. 3 months in the burn unit. Cavemen do like fire. I was an instructor for an advanced combat medic course. This building had a real working clinic in it. It was an auxiliary clinic that was there only to handle mass casualty situations. I'd always tell my students, all the equipment in this area is real. It has to be in this room for a reason. Do not touch anything in this room. We'll do classes in here. Hands-on stuff is done upstairs. Again, do not touch anything in this room. I had to leave to handle something. I came back to find one of my students with a shit-eating grin, holding the paddles to a charge the fuck up manual defibrillator on either side of his head. Just do it! Do it! Before I could do anything, he goes clear, stiffened up, and crumpled to the floor. He lived. I dropped him from the course for failure to follow instructions and damaging army equipment, but he lived.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Have a couple. First, guy came in with his dick in a beer bottle.
Why?
Apparently he fell on it and then got hard, so he couldn't get it out. Case your buddy. Second, drank bleach on a dare.
Why?
Genius friend gave him an alkaline. Can't remember what. Thing is, when you neutralize acids with alkaline, there's heat. A lot of heat burns along the esophagus. I get it. Sorry, Dirkton mistook bleach as an acid. Third, had a urinary catheter inside. Basically a tube inside the penis to drain urine. He didn't like it or the hospital tried to pull it out.
Do it.
To keep the catheter inside, we inflate the tip with water. He was very quiet after trying to pull it out. Fourth, heard about this one. Tried to make a big custom firecracker, but emptying gunpowder from smaller fireworks or firecrackers into a container. Sure, that's one big explosive, but let's compress it more to fit more boom into it. I think he kept the arm. This was not a patient of mine, but a colleague had a patient whose birth control pills made her sick, so she gave it to her boyfriend to take. Ha ha ha, I always wondered if he had some breast enlargement or got emotional during that time. Adolescent medicine is a gold mine for this kind of stuff. The icing on the cake is my colleague won some money after submitting the story to Reader's Digest.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
I was junior anesthesia trainee. I treated a man who injected poppy juice into his radial artery. He almost lost his hand and he required multiple plastic surgery procedures. A few months later, old mate is back in theater for a repair of the other side of his forearm. He has been riding a bicycle holding onto an idling chainsaw with his other arm. He was riding around cutting down letterboxes. He slipped and chainsawed the good side of the arm he injected poppy juice into. Then there was the youth who saw what he thought was a snake. He went to confirm by picking it up and it bit him. He remained curious, so he picked it up again and was bitten again. YOLO! We live in an area of Australia where every snake is venomous. One of my patients came in with 2nd and 3rd degree burns all the way up his right arm. It was winter and his pickup wouldn't start, so he put a match in the gas tank to melt the frozen gasoline. One of my slightly more distant cousins had to cancel her official wedding because her husband was in the hospital. They just ended up having a quick ceremony there. Why was he in the hospital, you ask? Well, he was getting the barbecue ready and decided it was taking too long, so he figured he would dump some gasoline on it. The kicker? He is a goddamned firefighter. Yes, a firefighter decided to pour gasoline on his barbecue because it wasn't lighting fast enough, then had to cancel the wedding because he ended up with 2nd and 3rd degree burns and a stay in the hospital burn ward.
No! God! No! God, please, no! No!
My wife worked some years ago and once responded to a call where a kid, teenaged but old enough to drive, had decided to siphon gas out of his neighbor's car while they were out of town on vacation. Mind you, that was back in 2008 or so when prices had gotten up close to $4 per gallon. In his infinite wisdom he decided to use a shop vacuum to get it going. Guy on more, he did this a while back, shop vac the gas out of something. He survived the explosion somehow, but he burned his house down.
This is fine.
EMT, here, encountered a man who decided his electric bill was too high, so he turned off all the heat in his house. Giant snowstorm came and dumped about 3 feet of snow in less than 2 days. Dude thought he might have frostbite on his toes. He did, actually, so to warm himself up he drank an entire gallon of antifreeze.
Just do it!
Apparently the name is misleading. He thought it would unfreeze him, put himself into acute renal failure, and spent 6 weeks getting inpatient dialysis, among other things, before he was released.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.
I see quite a lot of successful award winners, but one nominee stands out. You'd be surprised how many men jump out of a window during an argument with their wives. One guy did it, but apparently forgot he lived on the 6th floor. Landed on a bus, which partiality broke his fall, but then he fell off the bus and onto a spiked fence. The fence impaled him and get this, ripped open his scrotum and amputated one testicle. He was also disemboweled by another spike and shattered his spine and pelvis. He survived, but was paralyzed from the waist down, and he lost the other testicle when it got infected and had to be removed. He didn't have kids, so a Darwin award. A guy arrived at the ER after he ate a few pounds of cherries without spitting the stones, so he had to be operated to get them out. The chief doctor came to see the x-ray while the man was being prepared for surgery and said good thing he didn't eat peaches.
Why?
My mom used to work in a hospital. She used to tell us horror stories of patients. Two that stood out in my head. First, person had a gastric sleeve operation and, to celebrate recovery, decided to drink loads of soda. They drank so much that the carbonation expanded their stomach to the point where the incision ruptured. Second, we had a massive ice storm one year and power was out for weeks. One family decided to keep warm by bringing their grill inside the house. YOLO! All 4 family members had carbon monoxide poisoning. They were very lucky to survive. I was a scribe in the ER. We saw a patient who had been drinking and started to feel nauseated while in the car. Her daughter, who was driving, said something like "you better not throw up in my car." So this lady, who apparently wasn't wearing a seatbelt, had the great idea to open the door while on the highway to throw up.
You serious?
I volunteered at a hospital, and while on her duty a guy was brought in by 5 cops. The genius attempted to rob the school, where cops get trained for guns. If you've ever seen one, you've noticed all the guns are bright red and made of rubber. He parked a van up against the building and cut the wire cover off the window. When that didn't work, he walked along the top of the fence with his hands on the wall trying to get to an overhang. He was spotted, and while the guns may be fake, the dog wasn't. I had this one idiot who punched through a glass coffee table cause his stupid football team won the Super Bowl. Motherfucker ruined my night. Fucking hand was a pain in the ass to stitch. To top it off, his GF was there and totally freaked out by the incident, thus she wanted to break up with him. And this guy became an emotional wreck and started crying when he realized he kept leaving the room to talk to his girl or calling her on the phone while I'm trying to take care of him. On top of that, he had to repeatedly get x-rays because despite washing his hand there was still glass remaining, and he was extremely impatient due to this. At one point he wanted to walk out hand fucked up and all. I didn't care if he left. I had other patients to worry about. His GF however convinced him to stay. I have never met an idiot of that degree in my life, and I hope I never meet him again. He deserves the Darwin Award. Damn this thread for making me remember him. Not an ED, but hematology. We called a guy and told him to come in yesterday afternoon because his routine blood tests before clinic were extremely abnormal and we needed to start him on urgent treatment. He didn't come in until today because it was raining yesterday. He's now very unwell.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Had a gentleman shoot up heroin while on the job at a construction site. Apparently started falling asleep and propped his head up with the business end of a nail gun. With his finger in the trigger. Survived, relatively unharmed, save the 3 to 4 inch nail that extended from under his jaw upwards into his mouth. Successfully removed in surgery. Today I had a patient with a head injury, having fallen out of a tree. He was trying to climb said tree to fetch his shoe after he made a sober bet he could throw his own shoe over the tree. Dude was in his 40s. He lost the bet, his shoe, and won a concussion.
You serious?
My dad is an ER nurse. His favorite quote from a lady is, "My foot hurt, so I shot it." She had indeed shot herself in the foot.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
That's all folks. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Make sure to share the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it.